This is ABC 12 News at noon, starting with breaking news.
That breaking news this noon. Flint's Bishop Airport is evacuated after an officer there is stabbed. Good afternoon. I'm Larry Elliott.
And I'm Christine Winter. It happened just after 9:30 this morning. We have several crews at the airport right now.
ABC 12's Elise Ramey and Mark Bullion have been there all morning. We begin with Elise. What do we know at this point?
Well, Larry, right now the airport is shut down. We now know that retired Genesee County Sheriff's Deputy Lieutenant Jeff Neville is the officer who was hurt. He is being treated at the hospital. Right now we are on the west side of the airport. This is also called the cell phone parking lot. And right now there are a line of emergency vehicles going all the way back up to Torrey Road. And these vehicles have been out here since after 9. That call coming in before 10, after 9 this morning. Of course, Flint PD, Flushing PD, Flint Township, the State Police Crime Lab, the Genesee County Sheriff, the Oakland County Sheriff's Office, all responding to this. And now we've just learned that the FBI is taking the lead on this investigation. A major investigation underway. The airport was evacuated. Now we've heard witnesses describe what is a bloody scene, but we're still waiting to hear from Airport Director Craig Williams about exactly what happened. Along with Craig Williams, we are expecting Tim Wiley, the FBI PIO, to direct us as to what he's learned so far throughout this investigation. So once again, just letting everyone know the airport is shut down. Anyone coming out here would need to check with their airline about certain cancellations. And along with the airport being shut down, the Flint Police Department, Flint City Hall also on lockdown as a precautionary measure. Right now, we do know that thankfully, no passengers have been injured. Live at the airport, I'm Elise Ramey, ABC 12 News.
All right, thanks, Elise. We now go to Mark Bullion, who has been talking with passengers. And Mark, what are they saying?
Good afternoon, guys. Of course, some passengers frustrated about this whole ordeal, but others just didn't know what was going on. Now, about 150 to 200 passengers and airport employees were standing outside the terminal. And some were waiting to get on flights while others had just gotten off their flights. And now when all this happened, everyone was surprisingly pretty calm. Again, a lot of them just unsure what exactly was going on. However, for a couple passengers, they watched it all unfold.
A police officer approached me and asked me what I was doing, and I told him I was trying to catch my flight. So I went upstairs and I saw a cop, and he was down, and there was a whole bunch of blood everywhere. Yeah, it was everywhere. Blood was everywhere, and it was crazy.
They were taking the man in handcuffs down the other side. He was blank. He was just totally blank. And then we got to the top of the stairs. The officer that had been stabbed was being cared for.
Now, as far as what we know right now, we're still waiting on that press conference to go on. But you can see behind me here, I don't know if my cameraman can show you, there's still some passengers waiting to leave the airport. So as of right now, what we know, passengers are not allowed in on the airport grounds as well as leaving. And of course, we'll bring you all that information as it becomes available to us. For now, live at Bishop International, Mark Bullion, ABC 12 News.
Thank you, Mark. Our team coverage continues now with ABC 12's Jessica Dupnash.
She joins us live from Hurley Medical Center in Flint, which is where the officer who was stabbed was taken. Jessica, do you know how that officer's doing?
Larry, my sources are telling me that Lieutenant Jeff Neville has been upgraded to stable condition. Earlier, it was very touch and go with this situation, but I'm told stable at this point. He's being treated at Hurley Medical Center. My sources also telling me that Neville was at his post at Bishop Airport at the top of the escalators there, and he was apparently approached from behind, then attacked with a larger knife. Now, that's all we know at this point right now. I'm working to find out more information, but what we do know is Lieutenant Neville is retired from the Genesee County Sheriff. I talked to Sheriff Robert McCall a few minutes ago. He said that he remembers Neville as an amazing deputy, and obviously their thoughts and prayers with the family right now. But as we know, he's in stable condition. As Elise had mentioned earlier, Flint City Hall and the Flint Police Department put on lockdown as a precaution. I understand that Flint Police Chief Tim Johnson has also alerted mass transit in the area just to be on alert as everything kind of shakes out. And as we said before, the FBI now taking the lead in this investigation. Now, we don't know much about a motive here at this point. We are in contact with multiple agencies to try to get more information for you. But at this point, Lieutenant Jeff Neville being treated at Hurley Medical Center in stable condition. We are talking to his former boss, Sheriff Robert Paquel, shortly after this broadcast. So stay with us here and online for the latest information. But for now, live in Flint, I'm Jessica Dupnack, ABC 12 News.
This is ABC 12 News First at 4, starting with breaking news.
Straight to that breaking news. Chaos unfolds when an officer is stabbed at Bishop International Airport in Flint. A massive investigation now underway by several law enforcement agencies across the state, headed up by the FBI. Our team coverage begins this afternoon with Elise Ramey live from Bishop, where she's been following the situation since it first happened. Elise, what's the latest?
Well, Terry, our sources tell us that the suspect in custody is a Canadian citizen and that this is being investigated as a possible act of terrorism. Now, the airport is currently shut down. If you get a look at the very active scene right now, you can see several police vehicles are still sequestered at the front part of at the airport's entrance. The American Red Cross is also on scene. We also know that the Salvation Army has been out here possibly dealing with passengers and talking to them. Now, we are still awaiting a press conference with the FBI. It's been pushed back several times now. I can tell you more now about Lieutenant Jeff Neville. He's second in command with Airport Police. He's also a former Genesee County Sheriff's deputy. He's currently in stable condition. Investigators say he was attacked from behind with a large knife. FBI Public Information Officer Tim Wiley expected to tell us how that encounter happened around 9:30 this morning. Lieutenant Neville was in the terminal on the escalator when he was attacked. There's no exact number on how many people were in the terminal with him yet. The suspect, again, a Canadian citizen, according to ABC 12 sources. He's in custody and is being questioned. The FBI says this is an isolated incident, but they are trying to determine if comments the attacker made prior to or during the stabbing indicate an act of terrorism. Now, again, the airport is closed. Passengers who were trying to get on a flight or passengers who may have a rental car, you will need to check with your respective companies for the best way to go about handling that situation. I'm told at this press conference that's going to happen between 4:30 and 5 o'clock that there should be some. They are on a heightened alert, and that is going to stay correct throughout the day until we receive further notice. Again, I'll have an update for you coming up at 5. For now, live at Bishop International Airport, I'm Elise Ramey, ABC 12 News.
All right, thanks, Elise. As I'm sure you can imagine, the attack at Bishop International Airport caused confusion for people both arriving and departing. For passengers waiting to get on flights out of Bishop, many had no idea what was going on. Our team coverage continues now with ABC 12's Mark Bullion. He joins us live also at Bishop. Mark, you spoke with a number of people who were on airport grounds as this unfolded. What are they saying?
And good afternoon, Terry. I spoke with a couple people earlier, and one was just simply here to return his rental car, and the other, get this would have been his first time flying ever.
Now I'm really skeptical, and yeah, I was nervous the whole time, honestly, just because it's the first time flying, but now I'm really skeptical about this, but I still want to go regardless.
Jonathan Strew had been waiting to get on a flight to Dallas to visit his brother for several hours. His flight was supposed to take off at 12:10. Now, another person I spoke with, he and his wife were on a road trip in their RV touring the Great Lakes. They just happened to be at the wrong place at the wrong time. They were just simply there to return their rental car to Enterprise when the situation unfolded.
Well, you know, I'd like to get on my way. I've got reservations and that sort of thing. So, but if it doesn't happen, you have to be flexible. Fortunate for me, I'm retired, and I got a little more flexibility than some people. So.
Now, tonight on ABC 12 News, only ABC 12 was outside the terminal after the situation unfolded. We hear from the passengers who describe it all from start to finish. That's tonight at 6. We're live at Bishop International Airport. Mark Bullion, ABC 12 News.
This is ABC 12 News at 5, starting with breaking news.
A possible act of terrorism in Flint. A man slashes the neck of a Bishop International Airport police officer just before 10 this morning. Right now, that officer is hospitalized and thankfully in stable condition. A man is in custody. The lockdown at the airport just lifted 45 minutes ago as the FBI investigates. ABC 12's Elise Ramey is at Bishop Airport. She arrived just minutes after this attack. Elise, certainly a chaotic 7 hours.
Absolutely, Angie. We were out here before 10 this morning. Just after 4, we saw the airport open back up to traffic, and we're continuing to see people come through. If you take a look now, you can see that there are still a few state police vehicles out here as the investigation continues. We've been awaiting for a full press conference by the FBI to see exactly what unfolded and how it all unfolded. Now, we do know at this point that Lieutenant Jeff Neville, the second in command with Airport Police, also a former Genesee County Sheriff's deputy, is in stable condition. Investigators say he was attacked from behind with a large knife. FBI Public Information Officer Tim Wiley expected to tell us how that all happened. Lieutenant Neville was in the terminal on the escalator when he was attacked. No exact number yet on how many were in there with him. The suspect is a Canadian citizen, according to ABC 12 sources. That person is in custody and is being questioned. The FBI says this is an isolated incident, but they are trying to determine if comments the attacker made prior to or during the stabbing indicate an act of terrorism. Now, passengers who were eyewitnesses at the scene were absolutely shell-shocked by what they saw.
He was bleeding from the neck. So, yes, it was pretty scary. I've never been through anything like this before in my life.
Now, again, the airport traffic has resumed here. I'm sure that airlines and rental car companies are dealing with quite a mess right now. This has been a chaotic situation from the beginning. Again, as Angie said, thankfully that officer is okay. We are awaiting a press conference. It has been pushed back several times. We'll continue to keep you posted online and on ABC 12. For now, live at Bishop International Airport, I'm Elise Ramey, ABC 12 News.
All right, Elise, thank you. We are learning more about Lieutenant Jeff Neville, the man slashed today at the airport. He has been a law enforcement officer in mid-Michigan for decades. Well known, well loved. Our team coverage continuing now with ABC 12's Jessica Dupnack. She is live in front of Flint City Hall, where there is all kinds of added layers of security tonight. Jessica?
Angie, shortly after that incident happened at Bishop Airport, Flint Police Chief Tim Johnson put Flint City Hall and the Flint Police Department on lockdown just as an added layer of precaution. And that soft lockdown continues today. I want you to take a look behind me. About a dozen or so officers, both undercover and in uniform, manning all of the doors at City Hall. There is even sharpshooters on the top of the building, kind of standing by again as an added layer of precaution. And Angie, as you mentioned, the victim in all of this, Lieutenant Jeff Neville, before going to Bishop Airport to work for the police department there, where he is second in command. He was a beloved 20-year veteran of the Genesee County Sheriff's Office.
Just a great guy. Good police officer, solid, good with people.
At the center of this chaos at Bishop International Airport, veteran police officer Lieutenant Jeff Neville, second in command with Airport Police. Sources tell ABC 12 Neville was at his post at the top of the escalators before the security checkpoint when he was attacked from behind and stabbed in the neck.
When I heard about this, I was really saddened by it.
Neville is in stable condition. Genesee County Sheriff Robert Pakel says Neville was with the department for 20 years, taking a job at the airport in his retirement.
I think we all said a prayer in between doing everything else for him, and I still believe prayer works.
Out of the hundreds of deputies that come through these doors, Pakel says Neville was a standout. He even received one of the highest honors for his service.
He's the kind of guy, when he left, you hope he wouldn't. And I wish I had a dozen more like him.
As the lieutenant recovers at Hurley Hospital, Pakel says this is another example of the new normal for law enforcement and the public.
You hate to see it happen, but that's part of the way things are anymore.
Back out here live at Flint City Hall, where there are officers, both uniform and undercover, manning the doors here just as an added layer of precaution because of the stabbing at Bishop earlier this morning. Now, as my partner Elise Ramey said, we are waiting to hear from the FBI. There's no timeline. The press conference has been pushed back several times, but we are on it. Stay with us here and online for the latest information. For now, live in Flint, I'm Jessica Dupnack, ABC 12 News.
We're seeing them come walking toward the microphone now. We hope to bring you more information about this. Lieutenant Neville is recovering at Hurley Hospital right now, and this is just a scary situation for our community and what's become the new normal in this day and age. Step into the mic.
Again,
We're going
folks,
to
Tim
go ahead
Wiley
and
with the
listen
Detroit
in.
FBI Public Affairs. Thank you again for your patience. We want to make sure we have the most accurate, up-to-date information for you, and we appreciate your accuracy in reporting. I would like to introduce to you the Special Agent in charge of the Detroit Division, which covers the entire state of Michigan, Special Agent in charge, David Gelios.
Good afternoon, and I'd like to thank you all for your patience throughout the day today. You'll excuse me to defer to a few notes here because I want to give you as accurate information as I can. We have had a very busy day, and I know we've kept you waiting, and we wanted to wait until we had a point that we could come out here and provide you a little more information than we might have been able to do had we done this an hour or two ago. So before I start, though, I just want to say that you all are aware of the incident we had out here today where Lieutenant Jeff Neville was stabbed. And before we get to any details of the investigation and what happened here today, I would like to turn this over to Chief Chris Miller of the Bishop International Airport Public Safety Department to give you information on what's most important, and that's the current health condition of Lieutenant Neville. Chief?
Good evening, everyone. Lieutenant Neville is in satisfactory condition. As you all heard what happened to him. He's doing fine, and he's residing at a local hospital right now. He's resting comfortably, and we'd just like to thank everybody that came out to support us here in this trying time. So, and that's all I have.
And we'll introduce others of the partners here today. As you can imagine, this has been a great joint local, state, and federal operation since early this morning, and we couldn't have done it without all the partners here, and we'll give them each an opportunity to introduce themselves. But I will just go into the facts of what we've been investigating today. I will tell you that we are investigating this incident today that happened at about 9:45 this morning as an act of terrorism. We have just filed a complaint charging an individual by the name of Amor Fatoui. He's a 50-year-old resident of Canada who legally entered the United States in Lake Champlain, New York on June 16th and made his way to Flint, and today arrived at the Flint International Airport. Obviously, I know a lot more about this, and we're sort of at 0 hour of this investigation right now, and since it is a pending investigation, I'm not going to go into great detail as to what we do know, but we do know Mr. Fatoui entered the airport. He spent a little time on the first level, then he went upstairs, he spent some time in the restaurant up there, and then he came out. He was carrying baggage. He went into a restroom. He spent a little time in the restroom, dropped both bags and came out, pulled out a knife, yelled Allah Akbar, and stabbed Lieutenant Neville in the neck. As was mentioned by the chief, he's in stable condition and is expected to fully recover, and that's the most blessed thing I think we can say about this today. It's a good outcome. We had some incredible acts of heroism up there today, and in questions we can perhaps talk a little bit about the efforts to take Mr. Fatoui into custody. The complaint that's been filed is charging a violation of 18 U.S. Code 37A1, which basically is violence at an international airport. And just to give a little more background on that, that is when someone unlawfully uses a device to commit an act of violence at an international airport that could have or did cause serious injury, which we had in this instance.
This is ABC 12 News at 6.
There was a whole bunch of blood everywhere. Yeah, it was everywhere. Blood was everywhere, and it was crazy.
A Flint police lieutenant stabbed in the neck in the middle of Flint's Bishop International Airport. Witnesses saying the attacker shouted Allah Akbar just before swinging the large Bowie-type knife.
When the subject went up to the officer and stabbed him, he continued to exclaim Allah, and he made a statement something to the effect of, "You have killed people in Syria, Iraq, and Afghanistan, and we are all going to die."
Flights delayed, passengers evacuated as the FBI takes over the investigation. Tonight, breaking developments on whether or not we're dealing with a terrorist act right here in mid-Michigan.
The FBI giving us updates on this breaking news. We are told the accused attacker entered the U.S. 5 days ago, then made his way to Flint. Agents say he had a plan and walked throughout the airport before attacking the airport police lieutenant who had just manned his post following a shift change. And Elise, today the FBI just moments ago confirming what we all feared. They believe this was a terrorist attack.
That's right. This suspect now has been named as Amor Fatui. He's a Canadian man who entered the country in New York back on June 16th. He came to Bishop this morning. Authorities say that he yelled Allah Akbar several times before and during the stabbing of Lieutenant Jeff Neville.
Hey, that's the good news. Dropped both bags and came out, pulled out a knife, yelled Allah Akbar, and stabbed Lieutenant Neville in the neck.
Is being described as a 12-inch knife with an 8-inch red blade. Now he also yelled reportedly that we've killed people in Syria, Iraq, and Afghanistan, and that we are all going to die. Now, right now, we don't know that anyone else is involved. FBI authorities are saying time will tell as far as who helped bring this attacker down. Chief Miller with the airport police.
Lieutenant Neville never stopped fighting until I handcuffed this person along with Lieutenant Neville and Lieutenant Dan Owen and maintenance person Richard Cruel. The four of us were able to subdue this person, get him handcuffed, and get him under control.
Were you in the area when...
Now, Chief Miller tells me that he goes back with the lieutenant about 35 years, so he was deeply distraught and affected by this, but encouraged that the lieutenant is still fighting. He seems to be in satisfactory condition, as he described it earlier today. We do know that the complaint that's been officially filed is violence at an international airport. That's a 20-year penalty associated with that. We'll continue to bring you new updates as new information becomes available. Of course, so much information released at today's press conference. Just a plethora of law enforcement agencies out here today. For now, I'll send it back to you.
Thank you, Elise. Several witnesses say that they heard the attacker shouting Allah Akbar. This is a common phrase used among Muslims and often to begin prayer. Many say the translation is similar to God is great, but means Allah is great. Terrorists have also been known to shout it while engaging in jihad. This is a closer look at where the attack happened. You can see that officers are stationed at the top of the escalators right when you walk into Bishop International Airport. It is an area before the security checkpoint, and that is where Lieutenant Jeff Neville was standing when he was stabbed from behind. We're told Lieutenant Neville is being treated at Hurley Medical Center and is stable after undergoing surgery. He is second in command with the Airport Police Department. Lieutenant Neville retired from the Genesee County Sheriff's Office in 2002 after 20 years on the job. The airport was busy. Passengers making their way to and from flights witnessing the attack. We have had breaking reaction on Facebook Live, bringing you minute-by-minute accounts. And Mark, what are passengers telling you about what they saw?
And good evening, Angie. There was around 100 people, that's both passengers and airport employees, near the terminal when this all happened. And ABC 12 was the only crew to get firsthand reaction of what happened just after that incident. And might I add, it's pretty dramatic.
I wasn't too concerned about it until I saw the police officers with their rifles and stuff.
Scary and tense moments at Bishop International Airport Wednesday morning after an airport police officer is stabbed in the neck.
We were coming outside because we heard the alarm go off. We were taking CTA class, and as we were coming down, they were checking for weapons, and we just saw a bunch of police officers.
One passenger recalls the scene.
A police officer approached me and asked me what I was doing, and I told him I was trying to catch my flight. So I went upstairs and I saw a cop, and he was down, and there was a whole bunch of blood everywhere.
The suspect now in police custody and being questioned.
We're taking the man in handcuffs down the other side. He was blank. He was just totally blank. And then we got to the top of the stairs. The officer that had been stabbed was being cared for.
As for the officer, he currently is in stable condition.
A little frustrating right now? No, I understand. Feel better, be safe.
And rather safe indeed. Now, I did speak with airport officials just a few minutes ago. If you do have flights in and out of Bishop International, the airport is now completely open. We're live at Bishop International. Mark Bullion, ABC 12 News.
Looking live now at the Bishop International Airport flight tracker, we can see there are 3 flights scheduled to take off tonight out of Flint. The airport, as Mark just mentioned, now open, and as of right now, those remaining flights of the day are scheduled to take off on time. It may still be a good idea to contact your airline because the airport website has not been updating most of the day. It's been a tense day not only at the airport but all around the city of Flint as areas like City Hall and the police department had heightened security just as a precautionary measure. And how is the mayor feeling tonight?
Mayor Weaver tells me she is sending her thoughts and prayers to the Neville family tonight. She's calling today's incident absolutely awful. Now, she knows that danger is part of every law enforcement officer's job, so she is grateful for the quick and efficient response of both local, state, and federal agencies today.
People in the city of Flint and the surrounding area should take comfort in it was quite the response. But I do want to say that, you know, our prayers still go out to the Neville family. I'm glad it was not worse. Yeah. I'm glad it was not worse, and thank God for that. But I know this is going to change the security issues that we have at airports now as well.
The mayor tells me she never once felt nervous today because she truly trusts this city's men in blue. Live from Bishop International Airport, I'm Ann Perrette, ABC 12 News.
This is ABC 12 News at 11, starting with breaking news.
An act of terror in Flint. This man, Canadian national Amar Fatoui, sits behind bars at this hour, arrested for violently stabbing a Bishop Airport officer in the neck. The knife pictured is a first look at the type of weapon investigators say he used in the lone wolf attack. Breaking tonight, we are learning more about how he carried it out and why. The victim, initially critically injured, has since been upgraded to stable condition. Lieutenant Jeff Neville was second in command for the Bishop Airport Police after retiring from the Genesee County Sheriff's Office. All new, you will hear from an airport employee who helped to take his attacker down. And just in, new video showing the exact location where the officer was standing when he was attacked from behind without warning. It's a non-secure area at the top of the escalator that leads to the TSA security checkpoint. Details have continued to surface throughout the evening as we work to piece together all of the details right alongside investigators. ABC cameras were also rolling in the airport parking lot as federal agents raided a brown van with Quebec plates parked outside before towing it away. This video just in shows investigators searching for clues in what we can assume is the vehicle Fatoui drove to Flint after crossing the border from Canada into New York. The man is said to be talking with authorities.
Yeah, we have no information to suggest any training. I can tell you we interviewed the subject for a good period of time. He was cooperative and has talked to us about what his motivations were, and I think it's suffice it to say he has a hatred for the United States and a variety of other things which in part motivated him towards coming to the airport today to conduct this act of violence.
We have more team coverage for you tonight with reaction from the local Muslim community and a first-hand account of the attack from the Good Samaritan who helped to take the man down. But first, word this evening that Fatoui has already made his first court appearance in the case. ABC 12's Jessica Dupnack has breaking details emerging tonight about the suspect.
Chaos unleashed at Bishop International Airport. Investigators say at the hands of this man, Amar Fatoui. The FBI says he arrived in Flint Wednesday morning carrying luggage and a 12-inch blade. Court documents state an Amazon jungle survival knife like this one was used to stab Airport Police Lieutenant Jeff Neville.
Lieutenant Neville fought him right to the end, right until I was able to handcuff this person.
Investigators say the 50-year-old Canadian citizen entered the U.S. near Lake Champlain in New York on June 16th. He apparently rented a car headed for Flint's airport. Then, around 9 o'clock, he ditched his bags before coming at Neville from behind, stabbing him in the neck, yelling Allah Akbar, which means Allah is great in Arabic.
And he made a statement, something to the effect of, you have killed people in Syria, Iraq, and Afghanistan, and we are all going to die.
Not long after the attack in Flint, law enforcement swarmed Fatoui's apartment in Montreal, Quebec. A top Canadian security official condemns the, quote, heinous and cowardly act. This now being called a joint investigation between Canadian investigators and the FBI.
The officer and his family and colleagues are very much in our thoughts and our prayers at this time.
Sources tell ABC 12 Fatoui's neighbors say he was a quiet guy and that they wouldn't expect this at all. According to his Facebook page, he's a native of Tunisia in northern Africa and currently works at a large insurance company. One federal charge already filed against him, violence at an international airport. The likelihood of terrorism charges to follow. Reporting for ABC 12, I'm Jessica Dupnack.
As we've mentioned, Omar Fatoui heard the charge against him tonight in U.S. District Court in downtown Flint. He will get a court-appointed attorney. Court spokesman David Ashenfelter says Fatoui will remain in custody until a bond hearing scheduled for next Wednesday. More charges could be added as the investigation continues. Happening now, the Muslim community in Flint is calling for unity and prayers for Lieutenant Neville tonight, condemning today's stabbing at Bishop International Airport.
So we want people to know out there in the community that we are standing strong with the lieutenant, and we stand and condemn every act of violence.
ABC 12's Amy Hybels joins us now live from U.S. District Court in downtown Flint, where the suspect, Omar Fatoui, just heard the charge being read. Amy?
Well, Angie, after learning about today's attack, Muslims are gathering tonight at the Flint Islamic Center for what's called the Night of Power. This is the holiest night during the month of Ramadan. Now, the Imam tells us tonight they will be praying for the lieutenant's speedy recovery.
It was a moment of grief, sadness. The first thing I was thinking of how the officer was recovering.
Flint Islamic Center Imam Abdullah Wahid shares his reaction after learning of this morning's stabbing of Lieutenant Jeff Neville at Bishop International Airport.
I went into prayer mode, shared my thoughts with my community right away, and we were engaged in prayer.
Wahid is also asking the tough questions.
This is an act that needs to be not only condemned, but at authority level needs to be analyzed. And why is this happening? Why are people being radicalized?
Wahid says the fact that the act was committed during the final days of the holy month of Ramadan brings him deep pain. Islamic Center spokesperson Muna Jondi hopes the community will come together in a show of unity at this time.
We really urge that this be a time of unity and not of division, and not let somebody coming from the outside come and really have us turn against one another. It's not who we stand for, it's not who we are.
Now, to that end, the center is organizing an interfaith prayer vigil tomorrow night for the lieutenant and his family. Reporting live in downtown Flint, Amy Hybels, ABC 12 News.
Lieutenant Neville is said to be resting well tonight at the hospital after undergoing emergency surgery. Our thoughts and prayers certainly with him and his family tonight. During the FBI press conference this evening, the Bishop Airport security chief said he never stopped fighting despite critical attack injuries. Chief Chris Miller has known Lieutenant Neville for 35 years.
Great guy, strong as a bull. He's a family man, great personality, fun to be around, infectious smile, just one great guy. And I hate to see something like this happen to him, but you know what? He called to check on us. A little while ago, he called to check on us.
As the incident unfolded, several people nearby stepped in to help Lieutenant Neville take down the attacker, not hesitating to spring into action. All new at 11, ABC 12's Ann Perrette caught up with a man who is at the airport every day and saw the whole thing go down just steps away. She is live from Bishop International Airport right now with his story. Ann?
Cameron, that is.
Yes, Angie, it is a much different scene out here tonight. You can hear the airplanes, and it's a lot more calm and peaceful compared to the chaos earlier today.
It was kind of emotional for me because I've known him for a long time, you know, and kind of hard to see somebody you like down like that.
Joe Garza's been shining shoes at Flint's Bishop Airport for 35 years. It was business as usual Wednesday morning as Lieutenant Jeff Neville made his way up the escalator to say hello.
He does that all the time. But I was not expecting this other guy to come back behind him and try to butcher him.
You can see Joe Garza's shoe shine shop is at arm's length from where the stabbing happened. So he tells me he had to step in.
That big old knife, I mean, he had some bad intentions.
Garza joined 3 other guys and the injured officer as they all tried to wrestle Amor Fatui down.
He was trying to get up, and that's when I came in and I put my foot in his ankle and the other one and hold it down.
Garza says they handcuffed Fatui and searched him for more weapons as EMS tried to stop Lieutenant Neville's bleeding.
But I was hoping it was not his, you know, but it was.
You think he would have
killed him if you would have had the chance? Yeah. Yes. Yes, I would. And more.
Garza didn't hesitate to step in. He's actually always on the lookout.
I see a person that leaves a bag in the ground, I always come down and they get mad, you know, but I don't care if they get mad or not, you know. You just don't leave a bag in the ground, you know. You can't trust people. You really can't.
Garza is looking forward to increased security in and throughout the airport property. He tells me he'd actually like to see airport police officers outside the gate before anyone enters. Live in Flint, I'm Ann Perrette, ABC 12 News.
Thank God Joe and the other heroes were there today. Thank you, Ann. Airlines at Bishop are hoping to return to business as usual. 5 flights were impacted today. People were able to deplane and exit, but flights were grounded until 4 p.m. Airport Director Craig Williams says he expects flights to resume as planned tomorrow, but on a personal level, the airport staff will still be recovering.
Our thoughts and prayers are for Lieutenant Neville, but also our maintenance staff who was part of that, and for their recovery. And I can't thank them enough for their vigilance in keeping on that, and also all of the partners that we work with on a daily basis to make sure that we can work through these kind of incidents.
As a reminder, he says all passengers should check with their airline before leaving home to make sure there haven't been any cancellations or delays.
This is ABC 12 News at 5, starting with breaking news.
When he arrived in Michigan, why Flint's Bishop Airport was his target, where he got the 12-inch knife he used to stab Lieutenant Jeff Neville. All questions just answered minutes ago about suspected airport attacker Amor Fatui. Our team coverage of today's developments on yesterday's chaos begins in Detroit. With ABC 12's Elise Ramey, where breaking details were just released from the FBI. Elise?
Yeah, Angie, that press conference wrapped up outside the U.S. Attorney's office here in Detroit just after 4 o'clock. We learned that Fatui was in the state of Michigan as early as June 18th and that he also attempted to purchase a gun in the United States.
We have information that Fatui attempted to buy a gun and was unsuccessful in that attempt in the United States.
Now, we know that the Tunisia-born Canadian resident entered the country legally from Canada in Lake Champlain, New York, June 16th. Just 2 days later, the FBI says he was in Michigan, and we all remember the attack yesterday at Bishop International Airport, where he reportedly yelled Allah Akbar before stabbing Lieutenant Neville with a weapon that we're told was purchased right here in the U.S.
The knife was purchased in the United States. Somewhere along his trip from New York. And the reason I give that information, I think it's a good news story that we have an individual who attempted to buy a gun in the United States and was unsuccessful, and then similarly, he was unable to cross into the United States with that knife.
Now, there is nothing at this time that indicates why Fatui targeted Flint's airport or that he had any ties to the Flint area. We do know that the FBI is working very closely with Canadian authorities, but at this time, they still believe that Fatui acted alone. I'll have an update for you coming up at 6. For now, live in downtown Detroit, I'm Elise Ramey, ABC 12 News.
Thank you, Elise. Bishop Airport was back to normal by Wednesday evening, but right now they have added layers of security. Our team coverage continuing with ABC 12's Jessica Dupnack tonight. Jessica?
Angie, we were out there today. Pretty much everywhere you look, there was law enforcement. They've brought in Homeland Security, who were positioned inside and out of the terminal.
We've got some enhanced security measures in place right now to have additional resources. You can see them around the facility.
The attack on Lieutenant Jeff Nebel happened at the top of this escalator before the security checkpoint. The suspect, Amor Fatui, came up the escalator, went into the restaurant, then into the bathroom where he dumped his luggage before stabbing Nebel. It's raised questions about how far inside someone can get before hitting that checkpoint. Airport representatives wouldn't tell us how many of their officers are on duty on an average day. Right now, they're calling the added Homeland Security agents temporary, and we're ready to lay out future plans for changes in safety protocol.
You are in safe hands. I'm proud of the aviation security system that we have. I think get on that plane and fly because you're just like normal. You're going to be safe.
There were more officers and firefighters in the area where the lieutenant was attacked Wednesday morning. Ironically, that's because they were waiting to go into a security meeting. We talk more about the takedown of Amor Fatui coming up at 6. In studio, I'm Jessica Dupnack, ABC 12 News.
This is ABC 12 News at 6.
We were just trying to control the bleeding and control the situation.
He watched a friend and colleague get stabbed by a suspected terrorist. The FBI is still calling this a lone wolf attack, but working to figure out why Flint. We're learning new details tonight about the brave takedown of Amor Fatui at Bishop International Airport. And Jessica, what can you tell us about these harrowing moments after the attack?
Angie, Fire Lieutenant Dan Owen was on his way to get a cup of coffee like you would any morning. Seconds later, he heard yelling and a struggle. When he turned around, he saw his buddy and fellow first responder, Lieutenant Jeff Nebel, getting stabbed in the neck.
You have to be ready to react in a moment's notice.
There were more men in uniform than normal at Bishop International Airport Wednesday morning. Police and fire were ironically heading into a security meeting after a suspicious bag forced an evacuation last week.
I just walked past Lieutenant Neville.
Fire Lieutenant Dan Owen was talking with Lieutenant Jeff Neville before stepping away for a cup of coffee. Just seconds later,
we heard some screaming and some wrestling.
When he turned around, he saw Neville getting slashed in the neck with a 12-inch blade.
What was going through my head, seeing a colleague, a good friend of mine, being attacked and stopping it as quick as I possibly could.
Owen, the airport police chief and a maintenance worker, jumped on the man, later to be known as Amor Fatui. He shouted Allah Akbar, meaning Allah is great in Arabic. They were able to wrestle the knife from him.
Lieutenant Neville fought him right to the end, right until I was able to handcuff this person.
Owen started first aid. Paramedics on site were there within 2 minutes. After the takedown, federal court documents reveal Fatui asked the men why they didn't kill him.
We used appropriate force to deal with this situation. We handcuffed the individual and moved him into a safe area.
Neville is recovering in the hospital in stable condition and expected to be okay. Lieutenant Owen wants people to know this about his fellow first responder.
It's a wonderful man. He's a good guy.
There is an unsung hero in all of this. It's that airport maintenance worker, Richard Krull, who is staying out of the spotlight, but being credited with helping save the lieutenant's life. In studio, I'm Jessica Dupnack, ABC 12 News.
A lot of heroes yesterday. Thank you, Jessica. A man on no one's radar is accused of stabbing Lieutenant Jeff Neville at Flint Airport. Just this afternoon, the FBI saying no one in Canada or the U.S. had information about Amor Fatui before this attack. Elise, what breaking information are we getting on how this attack was carried out?
Well, Angie, we now know the Amazon jungle knife, a 12-inch blade used to stab Lieutenant Neville in the neck, was purchased right here in the United States. But whether Fatui was acting with or on behalf of any organization, that's something the FBI has no indication of.
We continue to have no information to suggest Fatui's attack on Lieutenant Neville was part of a wider plot, nor do we have any indication that he was aided in this incident or had associates associated to this incident.
At a press conference today, the FBI and acting U.S. Attorney for the Eastern District of Michigan saying that Montreal resident Fatui crossed the border in New York on June 16th. The FBI released a new photo of him today, hoping to generate tips, saying he unsuccessfully tried to purchase a gun in the U.S. before the attack. The earliest indication of him being in Michigan was on June 18th, just a few days before the attack, but there's still little clarity as to why Flint was a target.
As a matter of a pending investigative matter, I'm not going to get into why he chose Flint, other than he did want to identify an international airport, and Flint by name alone is known as an international airport.
Now, so far, over 20 witnesses have been interviewed, several search warrants carried out, including a search warrant on the vehicle that Fatui used to travel here. Right now, the FBI is continuing to ask anyone for tips by going to tips.fbi.gov if you have any information relating to this case. For now, live in downtown Detroit, I'm Elise Ramey, ABC 12 News.
Thank you, Elise. We are learning more details about the man who attacked Lieutenant Neville. Amar Fatui is currently being held at the Midland County Jail, and he was transferred there after he appeared in federal court last night.
Yes, Angie, and you can see in his mugshot here, Fatui did have to wear a spit guard throughout the proceeding. Besides the concern about a language barrier at first, he remained compliant.
My first name is Amar, and my last name is Fatui.
The 49-year-old had his first court appearance Wednesday night at U.S. District Court in Flint, just hours after investigators say he attacked Bishop Airport police officer Lieutenant Jeff Neville using a 12-inch knife with an 8-inch serrated blade like this one. He could face up to 20 years in prison for the charge of violence at an international airport.
Do you understand that that is the offense with which you have been charged, and those are the allegations of the complaint?
I understand.
Fatui could also face terrorism charges. Special agent in charge David Gellios says he yelled Allah Akbar before the attack.
And he made a statement, something to the effect of, "You have killed people in Syria, Iraq, and Afghanistan, and we are all going to die."
Law enforcement officers in Canada raided Fatui's apartment in Montreal, Quebec Wednesday. 3 people who live there were taken in for questioning. He's lived in the area for the past 10 years. Fatui also has dual citizenship in Tunisia, where the court officer says he told them his mother, 3 sisters, and 2 brothers still live.
He's married and has 3 children. He said he was working off and on as a truck driver. Last worked about 2 weeks ago.
A few days later, he legally entered the U.S. through Lake Champlain, New York on June 16th. He rented a car, and the FBI says he made it to Michigan this past Sunday before arriving to Bishop Airport Wednesday morning. Investigators searched the vehicle as they continue to look for answers. Fatui will be in court again next Wednesday. I'm Ann Perrette, ABC 12 News.
Jeff Neville, the airport police lieutenant who was stabbed yesterday, is on the road to recovery tonight. We're happy to report he has been upgraded again to good condition. Tomorrow morning, Hurley Medical Center will share with us what's being done to help Lieutenant Neville and his prognosis for the future. Look for that update all new tomorrow on ABC 12 News at noon. Right now, people of all faiths are together praying for Lieutenant Neville in Flint. The interfaith service is taking place downtown and is designed to show that both Christians and Muslims support him and wish him the best. Coming up, we'll take you there live to hear from some of the people about why this is so important.